Okay, so for this week's lesson, we're going to take everything that I played in the intro and we're going to break it all down note for note. And here's the cool part. It's pretty simple when you see what's going on logically. It's just the E minor pentatonic scale, and we're connecting that minor pentatonic scale, the patterns of the pentatonic scale, to chord shapes. That's pretty much it. This has always been my thing. If I can see the chord shape, if I can see my E minor chords in different spots on the fretboard, I can connect those patterns to those chords, and it makes playing so much easier. And it actually makes it a lot more fun when the fretboard becomes logical. So I hope there's going to be some breakthrough moments for you in this lesson. If you're learning how to improvise and jam on the blues, you're going to totally love this and hopefully walk away with some, if nothing else, just some great licks that you can steal. Now, the awesome jam track that I'm playing over this week was provided by my good friend Quist, who I'll talk more about in just a second. But I've got this lesson split into two parts. So in this video, we're going to go through the first half of what I played. If you'd like to watch the second half, download the tablature, download the MP3 jam track, and also get access to the on-screen tab viewer, which is interactive. It has the tab and the video on the screen at the same time. There's no talking, but it's a great way to review everything we're going to talk through. You can slow down playback, you can loop sections and all that. It's a real fun way to learn. You can get all of the extra materials for this lesson by going to activemelody.com and doing a search for EP626. Okay, so Quist is the one that provided the jam track this week. I always love it when he emails me and asks if I want to do a collab because it makes my life so much easier. He does incredible work. He's a great guitar player, great musician. And if you like this jam track, you're going to definitely want to check out his channels. I've got links to those below. He's got years and years worth of really great sounding jam tracks, lots of blues based stuff. He's got country, he's got rock, lots of different styles, jazz. So check out his YouTube channel. You can check him out on Spotify. He's on Instagram. Links to all of that below. And thank you again, Quist, for doing this. I always love it when I get the emails from you. It makes my life so much easier, and it's always so fun. It's so much fun when somebody gives you a jam track and you just get to improvise. That's what this is all about anyway. So this jam track had two chords in it. That was it. There was not like an A part and a B part or a bridge or a chorus. It was just two chords, which is perfect for learning how to improvise because you can just loop them and just kind of let it go and keep kind of working on your stuff. One of the chords was an E5 chord, like an E power chord. At least that's how I heard it. I didn't hear a third interval in the chord. So it wasn't major, it wasn't minor, which is kind of cool because if I'm improvising, I can play either major or minor pentatonic scale stuff. So you might want to try that if you've got the jam track. Just experiment with playing E major pentatonic scale and then E minor and then blending the two. That would be kind of a cool thing to play around with. However, I just steered the whole thing minor. To me, I could just hear minor and kind of accenting that A chord as it passed by. That was just how I heard it when I started kind of messing around with it. So that's what we're going to do, E minor pentatonic scale. Okay, let's listen to the first phrase and then we'll talk about what's going on. All right, so the first thing that happens, now this is E minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. Look at this. Hopefully you can see that. Now a lot of times when we're learning our pattern 1, we'll start somewhere else, like A minor, for example, and you see it like this. Right? But notice when I'm doing this, if I were to slide this all the way down and play all those notes, like for my A minor pentatonic scale, that were hitting on the 5th fret, that's where I would also bar if I was playing the chord, that's where my nut is. So just think of it that way. Your nut is like your finger. You can think of it like a capo down here. So when I'm playing those open strings, the nut is taking care of it. So that is where my E minor pentatonic scale pattern 1 is. And I connect that back to my E minor chord like this, which is one of the first chords we learned how to play. And there's all these really cool bluesy things you can do with these open strings down here. So this first lick comes in on the 2. If we're counting it, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, right on the 2. And it starts on the 2nd string. And I play that and do a hammer onto the 3rd fret, and then we play the open 1 string. Then we go back to the 2nd string, then we come to the 3rd fret, 1st string, And we hit that. Now when I hit that, I push it slightly sharp. That is something you have to know about the blues. Anytime you're playing your flat 3, and it could be anywhere in the fretboard, but when you're playing that flat 3, your ear will kind of tell you what that is. That you'll hear that being pushed towards the major third. It's a weird thing because I'm trying to keep it minor pentatonic scale, and even if the chord was a true E minor chord, I would still do that same thing. And you hear the blues guys doing that. They're always kind of fudging that flat 3 and pushing it towards the major. That's just one of the sounds of the blues. So learning that characteristic and learning where your flat 3s are. So far we have this. We go back to the second string, and I did that same like little half push there on the 3rd fret 2nd string. And then down to my low E string on the 6th string. So all together that first lick, 1, 2. So just practice that. If you're struggling with the timing of that, just put on the jam track and just practice. 2, 3, 4, 1. Just trying to get the feeling of that, the timing of that. And then what I did after that was, so it's just strings 4, 3, and 2. And I went down, up, down. And then I barred there on the 2nd fret. And I'm just accenting that A chord. And from an education standpoint, I thought this was a really good way to help you see these chords in different spots, because we're gonna play the A there, we're gonna play it up here, we're gonna play it up here at some point, and we're just gonna play it based on where we are. We don't wanna jump all over the fretboard, but if we're playing blues down here, we wanna stay in this neighborhood. So I'm gonna find the A that's down in this neighborhood. Okay, so this next lick goes like this. So this is coming out of pattern 2 of my minor pentatonic scale, or at least it's starting there. And my E minor chord in this position would look like this. There's my E note, 5th fret 2nd string. You're just gonna have to memorize your chord voicings. But when I see this minor chord, I know that I've got my minor pentatonic scale pattern 2 in that same area. And I can easily slide down into pattern 1, which is what I did. So there's a little bridge here that gets me from pattern 2. Right there, it's on that 3rd string. That's just been always my little anchor to get down back into pattern 1. Once I'm down here, I'm back in pattern 1. So then all together that lick goes. There's the slide, playing strings 2 and 3. Sliding back down into pattern 1. And then I did the same accent to hit that A chord. Okay, so for this part, I played. And what I'm doing there is I'm still in pattern 2, right? Look at the notes of pattern 2 of my E minor pentatonic scale. So I'm playing this note, which is a B, and then I'm playing this note up here, which is a G, and both of those notes are in my E minor chord. In fact, if we played that chord voicing here, I play it here. I'm just playing strings 3 and 1 out of that chord voicing. So that hopefully that you can see, oh yeah, if you can see the chord, you can play little harmonies. I could play strings 1 and 2, or strings 3 and 1, or strings 2 and 3, or strings 3 and 4, or 3, 4, and 2. So you've got all these options when you can see your chord. It gives you a chance to really quickly access harmonies. So to me, that's what this is. And so after that, to accent the A chord, I slid that up 2 frets. Why did that represent my A chord? Well, think about your A using the E shape. Oh, if you look at strings 3 and 1, it's that same little shape. So it makes sense then, if this is E minor, or if this is representing my E minor, because it's 2 notes out of that chord, right? I could just slide that up for my A chord. All right, so for this next lick, we're gonna use a scale pattern, a cascading scale pattern. It sounds like this. Isn't that cool? I'll put a lesson up on the screen actually that talks about scale patterns and how you can use any of your scales. You can use your pentatonic scale in this case, minor pentatonic scale. And the way it works is you go down a set of notes. So we'll go down 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the way, we're in our minor pentatonic scale pattern 2, still in the same area. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go up to this note, which was the next note down. And we're gonna go down 4 from this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're gonna go to the next note up, which would be like this. So you just keep going down this pattern where you go down 4, then you go back, and then you go down 4 more, and then you go back. And so each time you're going back, you're not going all the way to the top, you're going down 1. So it's like. So after this, I went and did my little bridge and slid back to pattern 1. So it's. So there's my slide, and then watch this. So once I came down into pattern 1, did a little half bend there on the 2nd fret 3rd string. And once I came down to this note, this E note on the 2nd fret 4th string, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with my right hand. Just a series, it's an alternate pick there, a down, up, down, up. So all together, if I play that slowly, and then there's the little accent on the A, the same thing that we've done so far, that we've already done. All right, so at this point in the jam track, we're staying on those same 2 chords. None of that ever changes. But I noticed when I listened to this that Quist had layered in a string section in this part. And so at this part, it started to build to something. So I wanted to just kind of copy that build. And what I did was I went a full octave up. So I came all the way up to here. So I'm thinking about my E minor pentatonic scale pattern 1, just like we were before. But now I'm up here where I'm, the root fret would be my 12th fret. Whereas before it was this open, right? Now I'm up here, right? So following that logic then, I came up here and did this kind of rhythmic thing where I'm just doing down, up, down, up, down, up with the right hand. It's like this the whole time. Now I'm only hitting strings 1 and 2, so I'm just trying to isolate those 2. But what I'm doing with the left hand is I'm barring strings 1 and 2 on the 12th fret, and I'm doing a series of muted strums mixed with non-muted strums. So it sounds like this. Look at this. Every time you hear that noise, that bop, bop, that's me pushing down with my left hand. Otherwise, I'm releasing and letting my finger sit there to mute the strings. So just watch my left hand when you hear the noise. Listen. See how I'm pushing to get that sound each time? It's like I'm pushing a button to get the sound. The right hand is just going down, up, down, up, down, up. It's not doing anything other than that. It's just like this. So in fact, to start this, to get this groove, just start this sound. And then when you want the noise, push with your left hand. That's a cool technique. once you get that down, you can use that all the time. It works great for rhythm. It also works, in this case, obviously, in your lead. So you can kind of mix those two worlds. And then after that, I went like this. There's accenting the A again, right? So this is where I hold down the first string on the 12th fret, and then I come to the 15th fret, second string, and I do a bend. Now this is one of those techniques that's used all the time. I kind of think of Hendrix as being one of the first people that really made this sound popular. But that's what you're doing, is you're hitting a note, and then you're bending to that same note. It's a lot easier to do the higher up the fretboard you get. If you try and do it down here, you got to really work to try and get that leverage. But up here, it's great. So I played it like this. And then there's the release on that 15th fret, second string. Then I came down to the 12th fret, second string. And then we go down to the third string and play 14, 12. And what I'm doing there is 12th fret, third string, 14th fret, fourth string. And then watch this. So that's strings 2, 3, and 4 on the 12th fret, and then on the 14th fret. It's exactly the same as this, but an octave higher. So it makes sense when you think of it that way. We're basically doing the same thing, just an octave higher. All right, so we've covered a lot of information already, and we've gone through a lot of techniques and blues licks, and hopefully you've connected some of these things in your mind and had a little breakthrough where you go, oh, okay, I'm seeing the pentatonic scale in relation to the chord shape, and picking up the way that it works. If you can really see that, you've got the whole thing mastered. I mean, it's really that simple. Once you can see those chord shapes, that's the secret. In my opinion, that's the secret. So that's where we're going to end this part 1 video. Come join us for part 2, where we'll go over the second half of this lead. And also remember, you get all the extra materials. You get the jam track to practice along with. You get the tablature, the on-screen tab viewer. It's just really a great way to learn. And if you've got any questions about anything, leave those below. And if you've had any breakthroughs or just enjoyed this lesson, I would appreciate if you leave a comment. I'll be looking at them. I know Quist will be reading these comments. It just sort of helps us. When we're doing this stuff, we're flying blind for the most part. We don't really know until we see these comments. They're always super helpful. So it means a lot, and I do read through them all. All right, we'll see you in part 2.